Jose Maria Ochoa. I'm from Mexico, but I was born in the United States, in Georgia, in Atlanta. I'm in Pittsburgh because I felt really attracted to come here. It was the people that I met and the feeling that I had from them, and I just kind of followed that feeling. I started playing music with them. They kind of took me under their wing, and it really helped me to be who I am now. I've found so much warmth in Pittsburgh and so much kindness and openness to just people and to treat each other nicely and decently. Where I'm from in Mexico City, the neighborhood is called Pantitlan. It's a place where a lot of people come through to commute. I spent my childhood there and I grew up playing with my cousins. I really appreciate that I was able to experience being a kid in Mexico and growing with what I grew up with my family around. When I left, I was 19, and I keep coming back as an adult, and it's different because like every time I come back, it's a different place, or I'm a different person. I mean, I'm an American citizen. I know the privilege that I have compared to the people where I come from. It means that I have a paper that says that I'm allowed to come here without having to cross the desert or a river or fearing being deported. I think the main struggle to be here and be who I am is to try to exist in a system that doesn't believe in what I live for. People tend to underestimate human interaction, human warmth, just beauty in life, and they just work, and sometimes it can be really materialistic oriented. Empathy and that human interconnectedness is really crucial for bringing justice. I work at Casa San Jose. This is a non-profit organization that started in Pittsburgh. The mission of the organization is to help Latino immigrants, to make them feel welcome, and translating that into actions, really solid actions. I coordinate like cultural activities, sport activities, any kind of thing that I can bring to them to serve their development. The reason why I do that is because I, in a way, was in their place, coming to a new place and redefining yourself and knowing who you were and who you are. Who will you be? There's a lot of identities that get lost or washed away, maybe. But maybe that's what I feel because that's what I felt like it was happening to me. I feel like sometimes we are a little further away from true nature. Like, I'm not saying that I want to go back to like hunting for my food every day, but there's some kind of disconnection that kind of happens. And I think it's really important that there has been people bringing their whole visions of life here. And I think it's really important that it keeps happening, not just for the country, for in a bigger, broader sense for humanity, because we don't function as one isolated being. And for the people who might not like immigration and might see it as a bad thing, I think something that's pretty important for them to know who they are and to recognize humanity in some outside of them, and that goes past the color of the skin, that people, no matter who you are, you have to eat. You have to raise a family. You have this, that we have the same right to exist as them, and it's kind of the bottom line. I grew up skating. I've been skating for like 10 years. I used to do that in Mexico, and it helped me immensely to adapt here and to speak the language, because that was my only shot that I had at speaking English. When I came to this country and I was living by myself, I felt like I wanted a creative outlet or something. I play accordion a lot now. It's really close to my heart. It's in a lot of music. It's a lot of Mexican music, even though it's like different kind of accordion. It feels like the perfect immigrant instrument too. And with this marching band, I started playing clarinet, but then I learned how to play tuba. And playing music with the marching band, it felt like activism in a way. And I got to know the people who are behind trying to make this city a better place. That's how I met people from Casa San Jose. That's how I got home. I feel like a pretty special way to find them, through music. Since I was growing up, I knew that I had the opportunity to leave the country because I was born in this country, in the US. I did it when I was 19 and I came to this whole different place. But there's another reason why I don't live in Mexico and I live here is because there was something that happened to my family. My father's life was taken when he, like 11 years ago. He was working for the government, and it's not like I fear for my life and I had to run away. My family is still living there and they live normal lives. But just seeing that, just wanting to explore seeing how far could I go somewhere else. And there's a little, maybe a little guilt of leaving my people behind, but also at the same time I'm not leaving them behind, I'm carrying them with me. See how far can we get. I have 2 younger brothers, and I've shared more with my brother that's in the middle, because he's a citizen, he's able to come here, and he has a little more freedom. But my youngest brother, he's not a citizen, and he just got his visa denied, and he's growing up without me in his life, and I'm growing up without him in my life, and it's just really, it's sad. Something that I feel like I learned from this change is, more than everything, empathy for knowing the privilege that I had to come here and seeing the lives of people who come here and the things that they have to face. Within the immigration bubble, there's so much diversity, and so much waste, so many ways that people adapt here, and so many backgrounds that they come from. There's not just one kind of immigrant, and not all of them come from the same place. That just like shows me how diverse the immigrant experience can be, and how we're not all here to do the same thing. Si yo pudiera decirle algo a los latinos que van llegando a este país y van empezando una nueva vida, que no dejen como que la luz de que no dejen que su luz se apague, que la mantengan prendida, aunque sea en bajito, pero que la mantengan ahí, porque es todo un mundo que viene como, no en tu contra exactamente, pero un mundo bien diferente que vas a enfrentar, y que si no estás fuerte dentro de ti, te puede derrumbar y te puedes perder aquí como se pierde la gente. I don't know exactly what my relatives and family think about me living here. Like, I talk to some of them really often, my close family. Some of them know what's happening, and I just feel like I'm just in my journey, and they're aware of it. And when I go back and see them, they kind of know I kind of update them, and I feel supported by that. And I feel like no matter when I go back, like, their heart's gonna be open for me.
My name is Hidario Santos. I am from Brazil. I was born in the city called Prata in the state of Paraíba, but I grew up in Petrolina, Pernambuco. And I came here on behalf of my son. He was the first Brazilian cured from a rare disease called maple syrup urine disease. In Brazil, we didn't have a treatment, we didn't have resources to treat him there. We started doing research on the internet, and we found out that the US had a support group, and we came the first time in 2004 for a symposium in Atlanta, Georgia, and there we found out that the cure exists. So we traveled to Pennsylvania, which the experts explained more about the cure, and we start a process against the Brazilian government to come here to have our son cured as well. We came with a tourist visa, so we couldn't work. Our son was in the hospital for a long period of time, and we had to support ourselves without working, so we sold everything we had to support our family. and it was very complicated and difficult. So in Pittsburgh, where we are, some people embraced us and helped us a lot, and that's why we could get through and get by. And after several years, I finally got a job in my field, and today I'm an environmental engineer here in Pittsburgh, and that's how we went by, and that's more than 15 years today. In Brazil, I was a consultant. I had a farm. We were exporting grapes and mangoes to US and Europe. It was a blessing life, I would say that, for a young couple like us. We had very, very bright life, a paid off house, brand new cars. The future was right there, but when our son was born, the things, turned upside down, and we had to fight for his life. We moved him first from our city to a bigger city with better medical resources, and then we moved to another one, so we kept fighting for him till we found the US and Pittsburgh. The first time when I came to Pittsburgh, when I crossed the tunnel, it was the most amazing view that I kind of had. It's a different, beautiful thing to see. It's amazing, really. So I was impressed at first with that. I had problems in Pittsburgh because when I came, I couldn't speak English. So I had to learn the language, but at the time I had the chance to learn, and I start, living community, going to games, things that I love sports. And this for me is a city that I can say that it's my city now, because I like the people are very friendly, and it's a very livable city for me because it's full of sports and you can enjoy hockey, baseball, even soccer. We have a soccer team here, so I love Pittsburgh. So it's a very amazing city for me. I like it. I'm a project manager for an environmental company, and I feel blessed. It's very important, not only because I make the ends meet and I support my family. It's because I really think that I'm doing something that is helping the community, is an environmental work that our company does. And I think it's a very important job that the world needs. Arthur, he today is 18 years old. He was 3 when we came, and he is doing really great. He is in high school. He speaks 2 languages, Portuguese and English, and he enjoys the world. He researches every country. He knows all the languages they speak. He speaks a little bit Italian too today, and he is studying hard Spanish as well, to speak Spanish. So he is a very happy kid, and he loves geography and cultures. Sometimes you get, sad because you're missing your family, and I cannot call this a regret. The only regret that I have, it's when you have people that are racist. I have had experienced some racism, not only once, but I think these people that think like that, they are racist, I think they are sick. They don't understand the world. You need to do some stuff sometimes for your family, for your health, for wherever it takes. You're gonna try to survive. And people, they don't understand that. I had some people saying, why don't you go back to your country? Why don't you speak my language? Sometimes they are very brutal with you. It's hurt you or the person that is with you, your kids. And this is wrong. I think it's wrong. I wrote a book about our story. And our story, it's nothing more than what happened to our family from the beginning to the end, and about the advocacy that I do for kids with rare disease. I've been helping families from Brazil, from India, from Poland, from Portugal, and I wrote a law. It's being presented to the Congress in Brazil to really put Brazil to do a proper newborn screening that will pick diseases like my son had. Still today, Brazil doesn't do a proper newborn screening, and that's my book about, is to tell a story and to advocate for people that have rare disease in Brazil. The journey taught me that a sour thing that we had, a sick kid, and we fought, and we learned, and we overcame all the problems, it turned it sweet. And there's a journey that is a sweet odyssey because it was more than 10 years we had to fight for his life and turn him what he is today. So that's why I put the name Sweet Odyssey. It was very sour in the beginning, very difficult, but we turned it sweet. The only future that I want is the best thing for my kids. If they are happy, I'll be happy. And my future is my family. We rebuilt our life. I would say that everything we lost in Brazil, we could rebuild here, let's say that. And I think I'm blessed enough to not foresee something more special than what I had already. So I'm blessed, and I think my future is here. I'm going towards it. I achieved what I needed.
Hi, my name is Shelvin Santos. I am from Peru. I am from the city of Cusco. And the reason I'm here is because I own Chicken Latino restaurant here in Pittsburgh. This is a Peruvian restaurant. We opened in 2007. At the beginning, it was very, very hard because people wasn't familiar with Peruvian food. They didn't know what was the seasonings, what were the spices. I was just trying to teach people my culture through my food. The truth is I miss my food so much. And back in the day, there was nothing here in Pittsburgh. There was no Peruvian, Latino, Hispanic restaurants, nothing. So I used to drive 4 hours all the way to Washington, D.C., to Virginia, just to have that feeling of having some good comfort food from back home. That was the inspiration of me having the idea of opening a restaurant. All the businesses and the shops in the Strip District are owned by people like me who has ethnic shops, ethnic stores, different nationalities, Polish people, Italian, Middle Eastern. So I feel welcome, and that's the reason I wanted to stay here, and I wanted to make a life here. And I was the first Peruvian restaurant that opened here in Pittsburgh. My passion, my true love was always cooking. My mom, my aunts, my grandma, my entire family has a passion and has a love for cooking, for entertaining, for just sharing recipes. And always in the family we gather together making pasta, making a sauce, or making a special dish. And it's just something I always wanted from the beginning, from childhood. I used to tell my mom, I said, I really want to be a chef. I really want to have my little business, cooking. Back in the day, being a chef wasn't so popular, or like people will say, oh, you're not going to make money, this is not good for you. So I still study a profession to make my parents happy and to make them proud. But deep inside, I always wanted to have my own business. I always wanted to cook, do something related with cooking. And when the opportunity came to decide to continue your career or follow your passion, I took a big, big risk. I took a chance. I emptied my 401ks, my savings, my bank accounts, everything to fulfill my dreams. And thanks God it paid off. 13 years after, I can tell you that it was worth it, It was worth to take the risk. My hometown, the name of it is Curahuasi. It's a small little town that is 3 hours away from Cusco. It's a very small village. Most people speak Quechua, is the native language of my country. There is no traffic, no skyscrapers. Most of the people live based on the agriculture, whatever they raise, whatever they farm, they eat. For me, it's heaven because everything is organic, grass-fed, and people are just so warm and so happy, and there is no stress life over there. Your dreams are one thing, and your desire is one thing, but if you don't have the knowledge of the language, it makes it a lot harder, because you as an entrepreneur or as a business owner not only have to cook, you have to do the whole 9 yards. You have to manage the business, deal with providers, customers, employees, and that was the hardest part for me, to learn English, but I'm still learning English. It is a very time-consuming job, but at least I love it and I'm happy doing it, because I wouldn't see myself sitting in front of a computer working for a corporation that that gives you your hours, your days, when you can go vacation, and living paycheck by paycheck. It wasn't into my plans. Sometimes in countries like Peru, you work so hard, you have a good profession, but you can never have enough savings to buy yourself a nice house, a nice car, because sometimes your salary is just enough to pay the bills, to survive, enough for groceries. Working hard in here and really doing the right thing, it's the American dream, because you can dream to have things, and with hard work you can do it. For me, my job gave me everything I have, and I was able to support my family in Peru, help my sisters, help my parents, and maybe just give them a better life that they would have, and it's thanks to the business. Esta ciudad necesita de muchos negocios latinos, hispanos, pero el secreto más importante es echarle ganas, tener mucha motivación y tener siempre tus ideales, tus metas bien puestas y ponerse metas. De acá a un año quiero esto, de acá a 6 meses quiero lograr esto. Y el sueño americano se puede, sí se puede. United States in general, and Pittsburgh is a great example of that. It's a melting pot of nations. This country is great because immigrants from many parts of the world come here with the desire to work hard, to fulfill dreams. And different cultures, they all bring here the idea of what we learn in our country, to be an entrepreneur, to have a small business. And that's what drives the country. Small businesses, small shops, makes the economy going. And it's important to learn about cultures. How do we experience culture within dance, within music, within food? It's a beautiful thing. A perfect world will be like anyone who has that desire to work, to be better, to be able to come to America or go to different parts of the world to make that dream come true. I imagine a world that the laws are more flexible within immigration, within borders, because it will just make people more happy and life better. We're relocating to a different neighborhood, a neighborhood that is Hispanic populated, that is growing, is a new chapter of our lives and our business. And I see it as a growth, as a positive change. And I see my life continue what I'm doing, because this is part of my job, this is part of my income, but also is my passion. So I wouldn't want to stop doing what I'm doing,
My name is Beatriz Luna. I am from Santiago, Chile, and I came to Pittsburgh to pursue my studies and my intellectual aspirations, but also to find a community where I felt that I belonged, which I did. I came here to study psychology. I was 25, and I got connected to the music and art scene, and I fell in love with Pittsburgh. In the 80s, it was in the midst of the punk revolution, and there was so much going on. We didn't need much. I had roommates, every house had a name, every house would have parties, and you could just walk to everyone's house. And I feel like Pittsburgh, in its essence, is a very friendly place, and I feel like people really take care of each other. My neighbor is constantly going, hey, I made extra lasagna, you want some? I'm like, okay. I grew extra vegetables, do you want some? Of course. And I really do like that about Pittsburgh. For the most part, people have what they call like that middle America niceness to them. I'm a professor at the University of Pittsburgh in the Department of Psychiatry. I study adolescent brain development, so I have a laboratory with about 16 individuals. My research is about understanding what are the changes in the brain that lead to you becoming an adult. And by understanding that, we're hoping to understand why people get mental illness. That's what led to this Presidential Early Career Award in Science and Engineering, where I had to go to the White House. And it was a great award because it allowed me to advance my science at a much more rapid pace, and it's a great recognition. White men have done a lot for science, and they still are. They're going like this, advancing science. guess what? I'm a Hispanic woman. I'm coming from here, from a place that you guys haven't even thought about. And I'm bringing completely new ideas that will really jump science to the new place. In my field, diversity brings new thinking. The human race has survived because of its adaptability and flexibility. If we only have these, behaviors and these ways of thinking, it makes us very rigid. We are bringing new thinking, we're bringing this nuances in culture that can enrich the society that you have here. I see it when with all my American friends. I married an American man and we came from different cultures, but when we look back, we had a very similar upbringing in life. We had very similar experiences. I think that's how we need to think about it. And I know it's difficult. You see someone who looks a little bit different, you assume that they're different, but we're not. We want the same things. I really think that humans have a certain number of feelings and experiences. We all have the same. We all cry at some point. We all feel lonely sometimes. We all feel deep love. We all want to be happy. That's the same. It doesn't matter what we look like. That is the same for everybody. Chile was great. The family that goes on forever, the friends that you've known since your childhood. There were many positive aspects to it, but there were also some limitations that I really felt, especially being a woman and some of the expectations in the 70s and 80s for a woman. And also the other thing that still is something that shocks me a little bit when I'm in Chile is the class system. So we were maybe upper middle class, we went to a very fancy school, and the connections between the other classes were very obvious. And you can live isolated in Chile and not know. I remember I was like 12 or something. I went to this mountain hill in the middle of the city, and we're looking at everything, and I'm like, wait a minute, what's that whole area of the city? What is that? Oh, that's where the poorer people live. And I'm like, what? It's much bigger than the other part. So those things have often struck me. I do miss my mother and my family and my brother and so forth, but I can't say that I have regrets. I never returned back to Chile because I felt that I found a place that really accepted me with all my idiosyncrasies, all my crazy thoughts, and I didn't feel that I had that. In Chile, it was full of love and greatness, and people were wonderful to me, but I just felt it wasn't my place. Intellectually and socially, I didn't feel like there was a place there for me. What I would like to see in the future is that we're connecting as human beings, that we're not connecting by identifying people in certain groups. Those things are just separating us. I have a society of developmental cognitive neuroscience, and one of the tasks that we've asked our members to do is to think of ways to start teaching kids at a very young age to be thinking about the community as a whole and how it is not right to be separating people into groups. I think if you're very young and you have that exposure, then it'll just be natural for you not to be thinking in a separatist, in a racist type of way. Uno llega acá, es diferente, hay un shock, pero vale la pena poder adaptarse. Y no solamente, no te quedes solamente en tu núcleo hispano. Es bueno tener esas relaciones, pero dale oportunidad a conocer a los americanos. Hay mucha gente buena acá. What I've learned from coming all the way from Chile to now being in Pittsburgh is that there's a lot of strength and value in following your own path. When I first came to Pittsburgh, those first few months, I wanted to leave almost every day. I would call my dad crying, and he would say, give it one more day. Give it one more week. If you don't like it, I'll come and pick you up. Give it another week. Little by little, and then when I started to meet the people and find my own way, it was worth it. It was worth it. I had a little bit of suffering. So I think that's something that I've learned, that it's important in life to have these difficult times, and then it's your own. And I do feel like I'm away from my family in Chile, and this is mine, and I've built it myself. So there's a lot of gratification in that.
My name is Diego Chavez Geneco. I am originally from Bogota, Colombia. I came to Pittsburgh 22 years ago. I am a pediatrician, and one of my goals in my career is to give back to the community to the best that I can do for others. In 2002, I came with the idea to start Salud para Niños. Salud para Niños is the three words in Spanish for health for the children. Salud is an acronym for students, residents, fellows, faculty, and Latinos United Against Health Disparity. So the goal for Salud para Niños is to address barriers that children might have to have access to healthcare access, and by addressing these barriers, to fight against health disparity, to address health disparities. The state and the federal government has some programs where families can qualify for health insurance, but applying for those programs are very cumbersome. One of the things that I did when I first started my program in 2002 was I actually went through the process of applying for health insurance if I had a child at the time. And I remember thinking, this is really difficult. This is like doing taxes. And I understand how come families can do it. So it's not unusual to find kids who for some reason they don't have health insurance or they don't have healthcare access. And we're happy to address those barriers. My wish list for the future would be to see that all kids in Pennsylvania have health insurance, that we care more about each other as a community, as a country, as a human race. When I was starting the clinic, I realized that the hospital had this new mobile unit. It's a truck, and inside the truck they created 2 exam rooms and a waiting room. It was donated to Children's Hospital by the Ronald McDonald Charities, and in 2002 I met the people who were running the program, and I asked them if they will be considered working with me and if they will be willing to come. At that time our free clinic was based on the Salvation Army. It was a very little room where there was 1 bathroom, 2 exam tables, and the exam table was divided by a curtain. And it was just me. The pediatric clinic was just me. So it just happened to be that the day they came, it was very busy. We have over 20 families there, over 20 kids. There were people waiting outside, and they said there was no way that we could say no to you. This is the Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh Ronald McDonald Care Mobile. We have been using the Care Mobile for about 18 years since the inception of the program of Salud para Niños. Every patient that we see in the truck is through free care. Nobody who's been seen in the truck is going to get any bill from the care that is being provided. We take the truck to different locations around the city and around the region. Right now we're offering a free clinic every Tuesday morning with the help of the truck and in partnership with Casa San Jose. And once a month we go to the Birmingham clinic and we take the truck as well. The truck has an electronic medical record that is the same electronic medical record that we use in our clinic in Oakland. So when the patients are seen in the free care mobile and then later on they get insurance, we can see them in Oakland, and it's going to be the same doctor, the same electronic medical record without loss of continuity. It's comprehensive care. Families get the medical visit, but we also put a lot of emphasis in prevention, injury prevention, dental prevention, and the idea is to provide comprehensive health care for the well-being of all the children in southwestern Pennsylvania. My grandfather was a physician. My mother was a physician. Growing up back in Colombia, I saw my mother doing similar things, providing care for the people who need it the most. There is a story that I tell a lot. We just have come from a trip in the United States. We came for vacation, and I had bought a nice pair of sneakers, and I was so happy with my sneakers. And I was probably in high school, and I come back home, and I see that there is one sneaker that is missing. And I asked my mom, what happened with my sneakers? And my mom said, well, I had to take care of somebody who actually had a leg amputated and didn't even have a shoe for the leg that it was not amputated. And now this person doesn't even have a foot, a leg. I wanted to give him the best for the leg that I had left. And I decided that that was your shoes. And of course, you can imagine as a teenager, I was not that happy, but I also started to realize what it matters in life. What it matters in life was not those pair of sneakers or the shoes, it was the legs of that other person who no longer had one of them. So one of the things that I do, what I do is probably because of my mom's example and my dad's example. They both were very invested in caring for others and making sure that that was the most important thing. I always have felt that Pittsburgh is a city with all the great things that a big city can offer: theater, sports, science, academics, without the big problems that the big cities have. Pittsburgh has given me a lot of wonderful things, including my family now. I married somebody who grew up here in Pittsburgh, and my son was born here in Pittsburgh, and I have wonderful friends, and my career is here in Pittsburgh. I'm very grateful to the city, to the region, and to the country. It's so easy to make general statements about a big group of people that you don't know. But when you know one person of that group, it's very different what you think about it. So sometimes people make statements about Latinos do this, or Latinos are this, or Latinos are that, or undocumented people are this, undocumented that, people are that. But when you know that person, oh, but that person, this is Juan or Jorge who does my loan, or this is Dr. Diego who takes care of my kids. When you know that person, things might change your perspective. It's so easy to make generalizations, but a lot of times those generalizations are not true. So it's better to think about that person, and hopefully when we think in that person, we can change our hearts and we can change our minds. It provides me with a lot of satisfaction when I get invitations of kids telling me, I'm graduating from high school, I want you to attend my high school graduation. Or when somebody shares with me, guess what, I was just accepted to college and I'm the first generation in my family to go to college. And even more when some of these kids now grown-ups, now working, now having jobs, having careers, they come to me and say, you know what, I want you to be the pediatrician of my kids. That's probably one of the best things that anybody can receive. I feel that it's an honor and it's a privilege to be a pediatrician of somebody. So when you have been my patient and now you're trusting me with your child, that tells a lot about my work, and I feel very satisfied about that. Este país tiene muchas oportunidades, tiene cosas muy lindas, pero no por eso debemos olvidar los valores de nuestros países. En Latinoamérica, en Sudamérica, en Colombia, hay muchos valores que nos inculcaron nuestras familias, y la idea es que las dos culturas, los dos países, los dos semicontinentes tienen cualidades muy buenas, y lo que hay que buscar es lo mejor de las dos culturas y con eso ser lo mejor que uno puede ser. The relationship that grown-ups have is different than the relationship that you have with kids. You cannot pretend to a child, you cannot lie to a child, they get you. So you have to be completely honest, completely sincere with a child. But while that is very true in pediatrics, that's very true when we work with children, actually the most important person that you have to be honest, that you cannot lie to, is to yourselves. Whenever you think about what you want to do, think about what you love, think about where your passion is. If you love, if you're passionate about what you do, you're going to be successful. And the rest of the things, they're going to come secondary. The path is long and it's not always straight. So things might take us in different ways, and being flexible and being willing to change your mind, that might help. You know, I came for 1 year, 22 years ago, not even dreaming that I was going to make my life here. And here I am, and I'm very grateful, I'm very happy, and I feel very blessed. And you know, if I have to resume everything with 2 words, it will be thank you. Gracias.
My name is Antonio Martinez. I am from Tehuantepec, Oaxaca, Mexico. Tehuantepec is a small town from South Mexico. Tehuano is a person who would like to socialize with the community. I miss the typical culture from my town. All the food, spicy, enchiladas, good tamales. My best memory from Tehuantepec is the big parties they make over there. Big celebrations. Whole entire community there enjoy, they drink, they dance, completely having a great time. Good memories. When I came to USA, I came to different world. It was really hard because I came to USA illegal. It was just for short time, do what I have to do and go back to my country. I never thought I'm going to be a resident of the USA. I never think I'm going to have a family. But everything completely changed in my life since I have my daughter. USA is my second home at the moment, and maybe forever. To be part of the American culture is completely different of my little town, but it's like something unique. I do construction in Pittsburgh. The name of my company is Nila Constructions. It's in my daughter's name. Kitchen renovations, bathroom renovations, floors, window, roof, siding, hardwood floor, drywall paint, patios, retaining wall. My company is not as just to make profit. And if we do profit, we will bring service to the community. I have been feeding the homeless in Pittsburgh for 8 years. In Thanksgiving, we cook a typical American meal. Chicken, turkey, ham, mashed potato, sweet potato, greens, just to bring to the homeless. We deliver the food with the truck and the construction van. I talk with them and they tell me where there can be a special on Thanksgiving, and that's the place I can be there for them. For me, Thanksgiving is to give, be a family, is help the community, help the homeless, help everybody.
We will get you something and bringing it to you. God bless you. We're
Bless
going to
you
try
too.
to get the other guys before the food is still warm and
All
give
right.
it to them.
Thank you so much. You guys be careful and God bless.
God bless to you.
It's like a miracle to be here and do this kind of service, because I never in my life thinking I'm going to do this service in USA. The name of my daughter is Petronila. Petronila is also my mother's name. Since I am a single dad, I'm living a busy routine just with my daughter and work. To be a good father is something special. I was trying to enjoy any second, any minute of her life with me, because in my life I never meet my dad. I grew up with a single mother. I wanna do like my dad never do with me. I feel great and I wanna be the best that I can for her. Pittsburgh community, the people, they're really good, they're really friendly, they're really great to open doors to an immigrant, especially the people is coming to do the work. Thanks to everybody in Pittsburgh, I've been building something for me and for them. And I'm happy about that. Da pena y tristeza de ver a muchos inmigrantes. Fue la oportunidad que yo tuve. Pasé, gracias a Dios, pero muchos que no pasan, muchos que mueren al pasar. A todo aquel inmigrante que desea venir, que lo piense, que lo haga de una manera legal, que no venga como lo hice yo ilegalmente. Yo me arrepiento de haber venido porque perdí lo más querido, pero el dicho dice, bien dicho, en la vida se sacrifica todo. Y así es. Yo sacrifiqué lo más hermoso de la vida. Gracias a Dios lo estoy superando, pero no se me va a olvidar perder lo más sagrado de la vida. Es la mamá, es la madre. No tuve la oportunidad de ir a verla cuando más me necesitaba. Puede ser que a ella me está viendo y felizmente se esté sonriendo de la alegría, pero ya no lo puedo ver. We have to think every single day to live better with your neighbors, live better with your country, live better with different countries. We have to be positive and smile to each problem we have. The war is not that big. We're in the same table eating with different people. So you share You give me the water, I give you the meal, I give you the meal, you give me the water. We don't have to fight for anything. We have to help each other to live better. We gotta be like a family in the same house, but with different rooms. And it's good to service a community and help them. I try to do the best I can and trying to keep my little culture in my heart because I'm trying to be a better person living here in USA.
My name is Maria Manatu Matos, and I am from Puerto Rico, and I came to Pittsburgh to go to college. I'm from a small town called Arroyo. Arroyo is a beautiful small town, and I had the privilege of living 2 blocks a walk from the Caribbean Sea. Right now, I spend most of my time developing Presente Pittsburgh Latino magazine. Presente is a publication that looks to engage, empower, connect the Latino population here in our region. The Latino community in Pittsburgh is diverse. I think there's people from a lot of different countries. There's a big professional group. There's more recent immigrants that are looking for other kinds of opportunities. But overall, I think that there is a lot of diversity. Pittsburgh is a beautiful city. I live both in the city and then in the suburbs. I think the nature, the parks here is just amazing. People are very kind and welcoming. That's the reason why I'm here. As a Puerto Rican, I feel both like a Latina and an American. I grew up speaking Spanish in a very traditional Latino home. I remember growing up, it was a lot of merengue and salsa, and many of the songs mentioned the other countries and were brothers and sisters. So there was that connection, but I think there are many big misunderstandings about who Puerto Ricans are here in the United States. You meet many people who are not aware, like they've never heard that Puerto Ricans are US citizens or that Puerto Rico is part of the United States. I've had people ask me how I got my work permit or ask for a passport when I showed my Puerto Rican's driver's license. Those things, I think, especially in the beginning when you get here, they're very shocking because I think when you're in Puerto Rico, at least where I grew up, you're very kind of proud, you know, of that relationship with the United States and you're a US citizen and you're very excited about it. And then when you get here and you get those kind of questions, it's just shocking and it bothers you. One of the most beautiful things that happen when you leave the place where you are from is you both appreciate that place even more, but then also you gain a different perspective on life, you know, and that's what I gained here. As human beings, we are all looking for the same thing. We all want opportunity, health. We want a good future for our families. And if you look at each other that way, I think you'll always find a connection. The values I appreciate as an American citizen are being generous, being welcoming, the opportunities there are to develop and to make a difference for your community. Bueno, a los latinos que están, ¿verdad?, que acaban de llegar, lo que yo les recomiendo es que se mantengan obviamente en contacto con su familia, con su país, como puedan, y también aquí que vengan con la mente abierta, que hay muchas oportunidades y hay personas buenas que quieren ayudar, pero que se concentren en lo positivo, en lo bueno. Y si es que les ocurre algo malo, pues miren, no deje que eso le detenga, hay que seguir adelante. The challenging thing about the Latino community in Pittsburgh is that everyone is spread out and that connection is missing. That is why Presente is here, just to start building that connection so that we become more of a cohesive community. It's especially important to have a community when you get here. I think those first few years, like 5 to 10 years, are very hard. In my first years as a university student, there was a lot of adapting to life, I think more as a student than as a citizen or part of the community. And I think at some point I became lost in that, just getting very adapted, like so well adapted that I almost like lost my background, but eventually I found it again. And I think it's very important and it's very true that in the process of adapting, you have to kind of wrestle with that. It's adapting, but also keeping from your background. The legacy I want to leave for my children is to always remember that there's a whole world out there and that they can contribute, they can be contributing members of society, both, maybe in terms of like financial, just contributing to people in need, but also living their passion and sharing that with the community.
My name is Monica Beni. I'm from Argentina, native from Mendoza, which is well known as wine country. And the reason we came to America back in the 80s with my family was to look for health services for my sister. Back in the 80s, Latin American countries didn't have the opportunity to have all the equipment and the doctors to do transplants back home. So we decided to come to the best place that we researched, and it was Pittsburgh Children's Hospital, because Dr. Thomas Starzl was the pioneer of liver transplants. The recommendations for my parents, it was to have my sister close to the services for the doctors and the children's hospital, and not to leave the country and go back to Argentina. So my parents made the decision, okay, we're gonna put our restaurant for sale and just move and start all over again in Pittsburgh. So we sold the restaurant and we all moved here. The best memories I have of Mendoza is the Vendimia, which is the party of the harvest. It's the most popular event that we have in the whole Argentina. Every state has a queen and represents that state and the city. And there are 3 days where people can go anywhere and do wine tastings for free. So we have people from all over the world enjoying good food, good weather, and good wine. The biggest struggle that I had coming to this country was to renounce to the person I was and how easy I had it back home. For me, it was the reinvention of myself. Back home, it was very easy to help my parents in the restaurant and go to the school that I used to work. But here, it was a reinvention of myself. What can I offer so I can be accepted? Back in the late 80s, my parents opened the first Argentine restaurant in the Strip District. The name of the restaurant was El Último Café, which is the last coffee, a famous tango. And my father was a tango fanatic, so they started a business. The restaurant was always packed with Latinos and Americans, and it was at that time the only restaurant open till 2 o'clock in the morning because Latinos like to eat late. So it was pretty busy. After my parents passed away, I decided to take over the business, but have only a catering service. I decided to go back home and refresh my memory to the delicious recipes that my grandmother had in her pizza shop. From there, I got the name of La Mendocina. And when I came back to Pittsburgh, I said, that's it. This is going to be the name of my business because represent where I come from. The specialty of my catering is just Argentine cuisine. But I have been very well trained in the kitchen. So I do Spanish dishes, and because of my grandfather came from Sicily, I do a lot of Italian dishes too. For me to be an American citizen was an accomplishment to be part of this society and exercise my rights. But I never left Argentina till today. The food that I prepare for my family is Argentinian. The time that we eat is also very similar. I try to pass stories from my place of Mendoza to my friends and my family. I'm very proud of being an Argentinian in Pittsburgh. I know that I can provide different services and enrich probably a town or a school or somebody's house or an event or a wedding, just because that touch of Argentina is in this American culture. The importance of having a diverse society is the contribution of everyone's specific talent. None of these Latinos or immigrants from other countries come here to take your job. They come here to get the opportunity to have a job and a future and financial stability that in Latino America is so difficult. Everyone contributes to this city to enrich this place. And if people forget, this country and many countries were built based on immigrants, like my grandparents and my husband's grandparents and everyone who came from other places. Mi mensaje a todos aquellos que quieran venir a Estados Unidos a trabajar y empezar una vida nueva sería que vengan preparados a trabajar duro, porque los americanos trabajan duro. Y esto no es de 9 a 5 ni de lunes a viernes. También vengan preparados a tener los brazos abiertos para entender la cultura de ellos. Los americanos son gente muy, muy amable, son gente que quieren ayudar y quieren mucho y aprecian mucho a gente que venga de otros lugares, pero vengan preparados a trabajar duro. My sister was able to enjoy many years of good health, and during that time she decided to go back to school and get a degree and work, had a child, get married, everything that comes with a normal life. But because my parents died very young, I decided to stick around and be the support that she needed, because my parents were her heroes. They changed all their life and everything just to be here for her so she can have a second chance. So I stick around because of them, for the family. If you put your heart and your mind in the same place when you come here, your dreams can come true. I always said that Pittsburgh is a very virgin city because there is a lot of possibilities to do a lot of stuff. Latinos coming here will get the best. The community is growing, but this is not Florida, it's not Chicago, it's not California, so Pittsburgh needs more Latinos. You just need to come here with your dream, like we did. No money in our pockets, but a luggage full of dreams.
My name is Marlon Silva. I'm originally from Caracas, Venezuela. I'm an entertainer, which includes DJ, sound system, dance lessons, speeches about Latin American dances, and the culture. Teaching salsa has given me so much satisfaction because I enjoy educating people. I have a good time. You're transmitting something from my culture to you, and that's what I really enjoy. When I walk on the street, for example, and I see this mother with her daughter, say to her daughter, you know, we're a family together because your father and I met each other on his classes. Made me feel so good, you know? I mean, teaching salsa, it destroys those barriers. Human beings, we are afraid of changes or none kind of things. So when you offer something new to them, and people start talking, and I discovered a huge market. And in high school, all the Pittsburgh school district, universities, when they do Latin nights, Latino nights in their car, okay, let's do a salsa night. They call me, I bring the whole package, and that's how I grow my business. And then the internet came out, and it was bigger. you know, doing salsa nights. And then it was a club in Cherisay called Club Havana. They gave me Sunday nights, and it was a huge hit. I was there for 10 years. People have discovered there are two ways to dance, you know. Structural, like a studio type, where there are points, counts, stuff like that, and non-structural, because rhythm, like most of the folk dances in Latin America. But nobody was offering that. I practiced martial arts, karate, kung fu, and taekwondo. And I represent Venezuela in 1987 in Puerto Rico. With that experience, I discovered that I'm not a competitor, I'm an artist. When I create my technique, I put together my experience in martial arts with the dancing rhythm. I put them together. In my research, I discovered that all those famous martial artists were dancers. Like Bruce Lee, he was a ballroom dancer. He was a cha-cha champion in Hong Kong. Jean-Claude Van Damme, he's a ballet dancer. If you have rhythm, I teach you technique. If you have technique, I teach you rhythm. So a lot of people, they have rhythm, but they don't have technique. You have to be careful because you can get hurt or hurt your partner. Well, you need a technique. That's when martial arts came out. The way you turn on your partner, techniques like that is very high related. Art is beautiful. That's why I related martial arts and dance. It's art, it's movement. Pittsburgh is very similar to where I was born, in Caracas, Venezuela. When you go to Caracas, the highways, for example, and you go here through the highways in Pittsburgh, it's very similar. Very similar. It looks, I feel in Caracas. Why? Because I discovered those were the same companies, the same designs that they did in the 50s and the 60s in Venezuela, the same designs, no? When you go here to the Liberty Tubes, to the city, those tunnels, they look like the Venezuelan, they call it boquerones from the Caracas, La Guaira, very similar design. They were the same companies doing that. I always wanted to move because, to be honest with you, because of my background, my experience with my family in Venezuela, I knew that things were not doing well there, politically, economically, and I say, it's gonna be a social collapse here, and I don't have opportunity here. I could see that. I didn't return, I never returned because, honestly, my future is here. I will always be Venezuelan and I will carry my flag with me, but I see a future here. It's amazing when people, my friends tell me, no, I live with salsa. You know, they make fun of me, like, do you do that? Yeah, they are. The country of opportunities, the land of opportunity, what they call the United States. I mean, with DJ, stuff like that, teaching, I will make a way of living in Venezuela. This country have an anti-discrimination law. If they have a law, anti-discrimination law, because there is a discrimination. I believe in diversity. Certain people grow like this, no? Like we call it gringolas in horses, no? Like they only see this, they don't see the whole, yeah? And to see the whole scenario is very good to respect each other. The fact I don't like something that you're telling me is not going to hate you, no. I don't agree with you, but I respect you. Oh, that's it. And it's very, very good because it opens your mind. Los consejos que yo le doy a los nuevos inmigrantes, por favor no crean en estereotipos. Tengan con mente abierta, mantengan sus principios. Porque una cosa que le digo, a veces somos seres humanos, somos reacciones al cambio y tratamos de caer bien, hacer todo lo que el mundo diga. No crean en estereotipos, por favor. Que blancos, que negros, que la americana es así, no. Sean ustedes mismos y te digo, respeten el espacio de una persona y que respeten el de ustedes. I like to see the future that we want to become one country, that we can go all over the world, wherever you are, with no barriers. I can be today here, tomorrow I can be in Italy, the day after I can be in Santiago de Chile. I hope more integration worldwide. Everybody have access to the technology education. You don't have to be millionaire rich to be educated. The access is there. As soon as you open your computer, your laptop, everything, access is there. It's up to you and conquer the whole world.
My name is Marlon Silva, and together with my partner Gloria, we would like to invite you to dance for Better Times in Pittsburgh, Latin American the world coming together. Un abrazo y mucho ritmo.
My name is Yolanda Isabel Gordillo. I come from Ecuador. The reason I'm here in Pittsburgh is because I'm raising a family here in Pittsburgh. I work in the translation sector, specifically in the setting of healthcare. I love being a translator. It's a very satisfying feeling to be able to know that you're helping communicate people. You're always thinking about the fact that if something can really be conveyed exactly in the way that you see it in the source language, the challenge of trying to find the exact words, it's always a challenge that I welcome. I come from a small city in the highlands of Ecuador, Ambato. Ambato is a lovely city with a lot of entrepreneurial people, lots of markets, lots of small businesses. Because of the climate, there are a lot of agricultural related activities. You find there all types of fruits, flowers. It's called the Garden of Ecuador. We have also a very well-known carnival, las Fiestas de las Flores y las Frutas. Through this festival of flowers and fruits, we are able to give thanks for the fact that this city is now thriving in spite of having suffered a major earthquake back in 1949. My parents are now retired high school teachers. I grew up in a very loving household where we always were playing with my siblings. My dad played with us. It was really a nice childhood. I love Pittsburgh. I really do. It's a city that reminds me a little bit of home because of the mountains. The people are nice and are friendly. I love that every neighborhood has its own personality. So I like going to the different neighborhoods and looking at the different churches, for example, because it can tell you a lot about the different communities that have been there for a long time. You have in Polish Hill lovely churches built by the Polish community that you go to other places and you see like the Greek Orthodox churches. So they are kind of like a testament of the different communities that are now part of Pittsburgh. I hold this strong belief that it doesn't really matter where you're from or where you are. In any place where you live, there is always this moral imperative to help, to serve, to make your community better. This is something that goes beyond ideologies or religious beliefs or gender or race or creed. It's really about you are in a place, the people around you are now your community. Let's work together to make your community better. I do feel as an American citizen because of one thing, and I think that this is the thing that kind of like unites us in a way, is that idea that independent of religion or political ideology or anything like that, we want to strive to be better. We want to strive for democracy. And it might sound perhaps a little bit dreamy or too optimistic, but that process it's very messy, and sometimes we advance, 3 steps and then go back 2. And the idea that we can still keep doing it and challenging ourselves and also demanding accountability from our authorities, that's something that I identify with. And so in that sense, I think that, because of that, I'm an American citizen. My family and relatives, they think that me living here doesn't come as a surprise to them at all. They've always known me for being a person that is not shy from exploring new places, learning new languages, making friends from different places. And so while they are sad that they cannot be with me, at the same time they are happy because they know that this makes me happy and being here makes me happy. And so I think that at the end of the day, that's exactly the true source of, family love. Loving you in such a way, unconditionally, in such a way that even when the decision that you have taken is a little bit painful for them, they are still happy because they know that you're happy. Pittsburgh is a city that is growing so much. We are on the news almost every day about how this is the most livable city in the States, how we are becoming this tech hub, and there is so much opportunity. Well, there are opportunities for many people, but not for everybody. I would like a city that is more equal, a future where everybody has the same opportunities in terms of access. For example, to home ownership or to good education. I would like to see that happen here in Pittsburgh. A los latinos que recién están llegados a Pittsburgh, mi consejo es de que una vez que lleguen aquí, no sientan que no son parte de la ciudad o que no deben participar porque son nuevos, porque son extranjeros o porque son recién llegados. Al contrario, reclamen su sitio en la mesa de participación, en esta gran mesa que se llama Pittsburgh y de la que todos somos parte. I feel that my life is here now. My husband is from the United States. He's got a job in Pittsburgh. I have a job in Pittsburgh. My son was born in Pittsburgh. And even though we go back to Ecuador to see my family, during Christmas or over the summer, I really feel part of this city now. And I'm giving it all that I can and all my love. And I'm also feeling the love back. So that's why I want to stay.
My name is Andres Cardenas, and I am from Havana, Cuba. I came here when I was about 18 months old. I don't really have any recollection of Cuba when I was that little, but I certainly have many remnants of Cuba because growing up with my Cuban parents, we spoke Spanish in the home and we ate Cuban food, and there was a lot of Cuban culture in our family all the time. So I was still very connected to being Cuban even though I wasn't actually living there. I used to say I'm a violinist, but I'm actually a musician. And I say that because I have many, many different factors in my musical career. So I'm a violin player. I'm also a conductor. I also play the viola. I play chamber music. I record. I was a concertmaster of a major orchestra here in Pittsburgh. I have traveled all over the world and played my instrument and conducted all over the world. So I'm just basically a musician. The influence of my heritage on my career is very significant because there was some considerable amount of anger in me. The anger was being an immigrant and being undervalued and being underestimated all the time. And I felt like it was an uphill battle to constantly prove to people that I belonged in that upper echelon with all the people who had a tradition of classical music in the background. And one very good example was a woman. When I was 15 years old, I was in a competition, and she came up to me and she asked me, "Where are you from anyway?" And I said, "Well, I was born in Cuba." And her answer was, "Who ever heard of a Cuban violinist?" And that, I never forgot it. I'm still remembering it today. And I said, "You haven't? Well, someday you will." And I just thought, I'm carrying, in many ways, the hopes and dreams of so many people that don't have the opportunity, that have the talent, and certainly have the intelligence for it. But I felt like I had to carry my Latin American roots with me everywhere, and I had to try to prove to people that, don't underestimate us. We work hard. When we want to do something, we'll get it done. My suggestion to young people, when they play, I always tell them, look, concentrate on your own thing. You have your own personality, you have your own thoughts, you have your own psyche. You have your own habits, you have your own integrity, and you have your own background, you have your own heritage. Everything and everyone is different. You all have different paths to success. If you worry about what everybody else is doing, there is no path. You're trying to take a path, it's like wearing somebody else's clothes. You can't be trying to take somebody else's path. Just forge your own and stay with it. For all the losses that I endured in my life, for all the failures that I endured, this is what made me make it to this point. It's not from the successes, it's from the failures. Not winning competitions, not winning a scholarship, not getting this, not getting the other thing, not getting, the attention or the approval of certain people. Thank you for this, because It fueled my passion for getting better. And my parents always told me, the failure is a catalyst. Just keep working. Don't let it deter you. Just keep on that path and just be relentless and tenacious. I am so grateful for the failures. Not at the time, I hated them. But now I look back and I am very grateful for them. There's nothing more fun for me than to call my dad and say, hey viejo, what are you doing? He said, I'm having lunch. I said, what are you having for lunch? He said, a big Cuban cigar and a double espresso. And then of course, from there, we were just laughing and having a great conversation because of course I think it's hilarious that that's his lunch and he thinks it's funny that I think it's funny. And so, you know, we spent a half an hour there laughing and telling jokes, and we have a very lighthearted and very close, loving relationship. The United States is so unique because we have such a diverse population. In some people's minds, this is a bad thing. In my mind, there couldn't be anything better. It diversifies our thinking. It broadens our thinking. It broadens our cultural acknowledgments of other people. It broadens our ability to connect. It broadens our ability to interpret music, to interpret art. The whole idea of diversity is that it creates a society that, with the word social, is included in the word society. It's a contract. It's a contract with your fellow man. If we live in a society, everyone deserves to have an equal opportunity. That's what makes us all successful. When people come from abroad, or immigrants, or be it refugees, or whatever, they come to America, I promise, and I'm sure of this, 99% of these people are coming to do something positive for our country. They're grateful to be here. They're coming to add something to our country. Myself, I'm so thrilled that this opportunity happened to me. I would never be where I am today. I'm sure if I had stayed in Cuba, I would never be the violinist, conductor, musician with the kind of profile that I have. I would never have been able to do this because it just didn't exist in Cuba. There was no infrastructure for such a thing. But here, I had teachers from the former Soviet Union. I had teachers from Russia. I had teachers from Poland. I had teachers from Italy. These people all came here to contribute something. They contributed their art. They contributed their heritage, their traditions, their style of playing. They diversified the way we thought about music. And why should we just think this way about music? Music is a universal language. Everybody should have the opportunity to be exposed to it. And it's true in every aspect of what we do in life. The more you know about other people, the more you understand other cultures, the more growth you have, the more varied you are, the more humanity you possess. I can never get enough growth from meeting other people and learning about other people and their backgrounds. And that's one thing I love about Pittsburgh. I just love being here for that reason. El consejo que le daría a los inmigrantes que vienen aquí a Pittsburgh es, primero que nada, que se vayan involucrando en una manera positiva en la ciudad y que vengan una actitud que van a añadir algo a la ciudad. Me gustan mucho estos médicos que vienen a contribuir su tiempo en ayudar a los niños. Tenemos organizaciones que también ayudan y hacen que una ciudad de verdad muy placentero. Por supuesto, el invierno es un poquito menos placentero, pero el resto del año es bastante bueno. Así que yo diría bienvenidos a Pittsburgh y que disfruten. My goal in life as a musician is to share my music, to try to connect with people, to try to bring joy to people, to try to use music as understanding with people. I've given numerous benefit concerts all over the world for UNICEF, for the Red Cross of Mexico. The humanity of music is something that's endless. There's no cap on it. And so for me, the future is just to keep trying to share and try to bring people together as much as possible. We have to be a society, and we have to have a contract with one another to help one another and to support one another and be good to one another. And for God's sake, just be respectful. Respectful of one another. And that's where we're not. We're not there. And that's what we have to do.
My name is Lilia Abreu. I am from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And I am in Pittsburgh because I wanted to give a better chance, better quality of life to my family. As a single mother, I felt the responsibility to give my kids a better life and a better future. When I moved here in 1993, inflation in Brazil was 20% a month. I was working with lots of groups, singing everywhere, singing opera, singing early music, singing jazz, and teaching 20 students a week. I was very busy. I was doing everything I could, but still it was hard to make a living and to support my kids. And there was a chance, an opportunity for me to come to Pittsburgh. And my parents lived in Pittsburgh in the 60s. My father was a heart surgeon and he got training here. And they told me, yes, that's a wonderful city for you to move. Well, I told my friend, who is from California, that I was moving to Pittsburgh. He said, what are you going to do in Pittsburgh? There's sports teams, the Steelers, the Penguins, and the Pirates. You're a singer. You know, what are you going to do in Pittsburgh? And for my surprise, I found that Pittsburgh gave me so much more than I thought I could get here. This was a place that was a safe place to be, a safe place for me to raise my kids. And a lot of things were ahead of me and I was open to the opportunities. Rio de Janeiro is a beautiful city. I miss the ocean. I miss the warmth of the people. We celebrate a lot. And even if you're not from Brazil, once you get there, you make instant connection and friendships. For example, when you meet someone for the first time, you already have 2 kisses. 1 kiss here, 1 kiss here. It's an instant friendship that you make. I miss a lot of things about Rio, but most of all, my friends and my family. I am classically trained and I went to school to study voice and sing classical music. I had this passion for singing classical music because when I was a teenager, I learned how to sing in going to the church, and singing those beautiful anthems really gave me the desire to go study more about my voice so I could sing. And as I was singing classical music and moved to Pittsburgh, I also had a chance, an invitation from local musicians to also sing bossa nova and to sing samba. And I said, sure, yeah, I can do that. You know, I can learn The Girl from Ipanema, that should be easy. And gives me the pleasure of singing because I feel that people listening are having a good time. I found out that singing is more than just singing classical music in its perfection, but it's about the feelings. And it doesn't have to be classical or jazz or pop or the blues. It's just what you feel at that moment that is important for you. It's all good. There's no bad music. It's all good music. If it's coming from the heart, then it's the right one. When I moved here, I wanted to learn more about my craft of music, and my background is in music, but it's also in Portuguese. I received an invitation to go to the University of Pittsburgh and teach Portuguese. And I said, well, I did study Portuguese in Brazil, but I never thought I was going to be teaching Portuguese in Pittsburgh. I thought I was going to be teaching English in Brazil, because my mother was an English teacher. The opportunities I had at the University of Pittsburgh led me to teach Portuguese for business, and that also led me to work in a company that was doing business with Latin America and Brazil, and they needed my language skills. I was also working doing interpretation. I'm very happy I made that transition into using my skills of languages in helping others here in Pittsburgh as well. I like the fact that Pittsburgh is a calm city. I like the fact that I can live in a place by the park and be in contact with nature. I love being outside and planting a seed here and there. I have in my backyard a pear tree, a peach tree, a fig tree. In fact, I just planted a seed of avocado and I can see it just sprouting. And it's so rewarding to see life sprouting right here. My kids were 9 and 12 when we moved to Pittsburgh. They did not speak any English, and they went to a school where they had ESL classes 3 times a day. They had English classes, and 6 months later, they were still not speaking English very well. And I felt that was one of my struggles, and their struggles too, because they left their friends behind, they left the family behind, and now they're in the country where they don't speak the language yet, they don't have their friends yet. That was one of the struggles. But then, 6 more months, a year later, they were completely comfortable with the language. They made new friends, they found new sports that they wanted to engage in doing. They started liking the schools they were going to. So when my kids were speaking English very well, and I noticed that they were starting to forget Portuguese, I made sure this would not happen, because I wanted to make sure my kids had the complete understanding of both cultures and both languages. Our decision was that at home they were going to speak Portuguese, and anywhere else they could speak English, but at home they would speak Portuguese. And it's funny because sometimes we would have a discussion and they would start discussing in English because they had a better control of the language at that point. And I would lose if I had the discussion in English. I had to go back to Portuguese and win that with my language. They both love the fact that now they're fully bilingual, and that has helped them in their careers as well. Se você está planejando se mudar para Pittsburgh, não tenha medo de falar a língua, de aprender a língua, de conversar com as pessoas. As pessoas em Pittsburgh são muito amáveis e são muito generosas. Temos uma comunidade aqui que vai te ajudar com tudo que você precisar. Every time I would call Brazil and talk to my dad or my mom, and I said, "Hey Dad, is it time to go back to Brazil yet?" He said, "Oh no, it's not time to come back yet. No, stay there, it's better there." And I took that advice and I stayed here in the United States, and I realized that it was the best choice I made, especially being here in Pittsburgh. I'm happy that my kids are nearby. I have family here. I have my sisters that live here as well. I have friends from all over the world that became part of my family. I have my students that are also part of my family, and I just love to teach. So Pittsburgh has been my home, and I don't want to go anywhere else.